Greetings and felicitations.
Hip hip hurrah, tally ho.
Hey, my little biscuit.
Hey, Puddin'.
All right, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, a 1958 classic. How awesome was this?
It was a fun movie.
It sure was. Now let's talk about the details. It was directed by Nathan H. Juran, produced by Charles Sheener and Ray Harryhausen, written by Kenneth Kolb, and was based on Sinbad the Sailor from 1001 Nights, starring Kerwin Matthews, Torrin Thatcher, Catherine Grant, Richard Eyre, and Alec Mango. Music by Bernard Herrmann. Cinematography by Wilkie Cooper. Distributed by Columbia Pictures. Release date December 23rd, 1958. 88 minutes long. The budget was $650,000. The box office to date was $3.2 million. Big success over the years. I know I watched it on TV when it came in reruns. It was common to have it on Saturday afternoons. I mean, anything with Ray Harryhausen, I was just so enamored by. I thought his creatures were fantastic.
You mean you knew his name back then, and you watched for him in movies?
I didn't know. No, you know what? The funny thing is, when I was little, I didn't know his name, per se, but I knew the look.
Yeah, you did
Mighty
the look
Joe
of his
Young,
movies.
exactly, exactly. I knew they were all connected somehow. I knew that the stop-motion animation, I thought was just so fascinating, because it brought to life things that could never be brought to life. And it was through Famous Monsters of Filmland that I got exposure. My grandfather would say, I mean, one of the earliest movies I ever saw in the movie theater was Jason and the Argonauts. So that was my first exposure to this. And I was so young. I remember my mother yelling at my grandfather saying, "Dad, don't ever bring him to movies like this. He has nightmares. He's just a little kid." But there was a fascination with it.
I mean, it does have that great fantasy look. And, of course, you can see how children and adults would love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. So, I mean, the plot was pretty basic. A princess was shrunk by an evil wizard, and he has to go on a quest to this island and in order to cure her. And along of him going on this island, there's going to be a ton of monsters. I mean, this is the stuff that we love, that we eat up. It was the first feature film using stop-motion animation effects completely in color. We know that King Kong was black and white. Mighty Joe Young, black and white. But to see this in vivid color in 1958, first run, it must have been awesome.
And to think it was released on December 23rd, so it was a Christmas movie, which, yeah, would have been cool.
Good point. That, all around Christmas time, people say, what are your favorite Christmas movies? We need to throw this into the mix.
Yeah, we should. I mean, the great colors. I mean, so it was your classic film with magic, and the hero has to rescue the princess. So those basic plots, but it did have good effects, and the magic was really neat too. Seeing the evil wizard, of course, he had that too. Mm-hmm. But the evil wizard was actually someone traveling with the hero. They were both sent there.
Good point. And I think the Technicolor added a certain vibrancy to the effects. Like when you saw different color clouds of smoke, I mean, it was just that weird hue that I thought was perfect for this movie. And they made efforts so that the audiences wouldn't think it was just guys in rubber suits. For example, the Cyclops, he was given legs, more animalistic legs, so that a man couldn't fit in there. So there were some things that were very well thought out. This is the procedure that was known as dynamation.
Which Ray Harryhausen was the best at, the forerunner of it.
Totally, yes. And it wasn't just certain scenes. It wasn't just here and there. I think that's one of my biggest gripes about some modern movies is they might brag about how realistic something looks. Like I'm thinking about the first Jurassic Park movie. Yeah, it was super realistic, but I had to wait an hour into the movie in order to see a dinosaur. That's what I love about these early sci-fi fantasy movies. Right off the bat, you're seeing these works of art in action.
Yeah. Why wait to build up the suspense? Because it's still exciting to see it right off. Now in some cases, you could, it still isn't exactly what you would see in movies today. The princess, the shrunken woman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that, like, the visuals with her, when they showed her talking, then you could see her face when she was small. But other times when she was supposed to be small and moving around, they didn't show her face. They usually showed her from behind when she was just moving.
Oh, yeah.
So, still little things about the technology back then, but it was still good.
It was, yeah, of course. You have to, this is the early stages. It was building blocks.
And, I like the little boy genie, too. And that was a neat idea, having the genie be a boy.
I remember as a kid, I thought it was annoying. Now as an adult, I was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't like kid anything when I was a kid, though. Like, I didn't like, I liked Star Trek, and then when Next Generation came out, and I was like, why is there this kid on the bridge? I don't want to look at this kid on the bridge. And I was the same age as Wesley. And there's this mentality of, well, people like seeing themselves on TV. Young people like seeing young people. Old people like yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, nope. When I was a kid, I didn't like, that was my biggest gripe with Lost in Space. I was like, what do you got this little goofy kid on here for? Nah, I want to see adult astronauts.
Oh, and on Lost in Space, he was just about the star of the show.
He was. But it's just my thing. When I was a kid, I didn't like other kids so much. But now it was. I mean, we talk about that little kid genie. That was an interesting plot. That he said, "Look, you're going to have to throw me into the lava in order to save me."
Yeah, the way that they're, all these shows about magic always have their own rules about the magic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even this genie, there were certain things that you had to follow involving him. The certain incantation that you had to do to conjure him.
And that was a morality lesson too, because, okay, they're trying to escape, and they know that this genie, you don't want to cut open the goose that lays the golden egg. You want to keep getting golden eggs. That's how it was with this genie. They wanted to keep having the genie in effect, be there to help them out. So if they took a chance and threw the lamp into the lava, they would lose the genie forever. So they had to make that moral decision. Am I going to do what's right? Am I going to keep my promise? Or am I just going to keep using this genie as much as possible? And so I like that moral lesson that came out of this movie too, that do the right thing. Don't be selfish.
Yes, that was a good point. And even having Sinbad the hero be the moral person.
Yes.
At the beginning, when they had the genie, but when the genie went back into the lamp, and then they were at sea, and the lamp fell into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you think like that would probably drown the genie or something?
Oh yeah.
I was thinking the water would get inside the lamp and ruin it, but it didn't. Everything still stayed intact because it was a magic lamp.
The sheer volume of monsters in this movie was fantastic. And Ray Harryhausen said that he always wanted to make skeletons come alive. And boy, did he. I thought that was one of the best animations in the film. I mean, there were so many good ones.
The skeletons made a good visual, because that's just, it's just something you don't see a lot of, skeletons moving around.
Mm-hmm. Giant lizard. And of course, the Cyclops is one of the most iconic ones in this movie.
And the fact that there's a race of Cyclops, which I don't think I've ever seen that anywhere else.
Yes. I thought that was great. How, all right, Cyclops is out of the way. Well, here comes another one. Now, Ray Harryhausen built the Cyclops model over a skeletal miniature of the model from the monster from 20 Million Miles to the Earth, a movie they made a few years before. So we can see that there was some redressing of materials necessary to make this production.
Well, I think it was a cheap production even for the time it was made. So so that was a way that they saved money. And also the effects of the wizard when he was putting on that show for the two kings, or the king and the sultan, and having the snake and the woman, and then they combine the snake and the woman, and you see them.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great
Absolutely
effect.
Loved it. Now, this is one of the ones you look at that and you see, okay, with the skeleton coming alive, that was the precursor to having multiple skeletons come alive in Jason and the Argonauts. with that woman turning into that multi-armed snake, that was the precursor to fine-tuning Medusa later on in Clash of the Titans.
Yes, a very similar idea, yes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is one of the classics of fantasy filmmaking.
I kind of thought that Sinbad, as the hero of this, wasn't really as heroic as a lot of heroes, because he wasn't really super intelligent. He was just okay. I mean, he was handsome. That's how he was the hero. Mm-hmm. He was the handsome one and the one that was supposed to marry the beautiful princess. But he didn't seem like exceptional as a leader, and not really exceptional as a fighter either. He could fight, and he did win, but it just seemed like it didn't seem like he was really the best at it. That's just the impression I got.
See, who's better as a leader in drumming up the troops?
Who?
I mean, the few that he had that were loyal to him, which was few and far between.
He already had his crew at the
Yes.
beginning of the movie. And there wasn't really as much about why they're loyal to him. I guess it's just because they know he's a decent moral man.
Yeah, good point.
And I do like how the genie at the end became part of his crew. That was cool. And he was supposed to be like an ordinary human now who can just
and then
grow up.
once he was a normal human, he lost that echo in his voice, showing how mortal he was. So
Yes.
I like that effect too. Yeah, thumbs up for this one. What do you say?
I just say it was a fun movie. Not really one of my favorites, but it was okay. I mean, thumbs up. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the force be with you. Nanu Nanu.